Hey folks, Crazy Climber 80 here again. And before we get to our number one game of my 20 from the Atari 2600 series, we're going to first take a look at a video of my choice for honorable mentions, games that didn't quite make the list, my guilty pleasures, and games to avoid for the Atari 2600. Let's start with honorable mentions. And the first game is Yar's Revenge, which a lot of people found popular. I wasn't crazy about it, but it was created in 1982 by Atari and Howard Scott Warshaw. And it's kind of like Star Castle if you've ever played that arcade classic. You have to hit the enemy ship when it flies in the air, when it flies towards you. It's very hard to hit. I didn't care that much for this game. But then next is Battlezone, created in 1983 by Atari and Michael Feinstein. And this is a color version of the arcade classic. A lot of people liked it. It's alright. Nice colors. But next is Warlords, created in 1981 by Carla Meninsky. And this is a port of the 1980 original. Plays very similarly. You can have 4 players playing, and you just try to bounce a ball to destroy enemies' castle walls and eventually their king. And you can catch the ball and release to make it move much faster. I kind of like this. Well, next is Dig Dug, the port from the incredibly popular 1982 game. This was created by Douglas B. McRae. It's faithful enough for the Atari 2600. I've always liked Dig Dug. It's my favorite arcade game of all time. And this is a decent enough port. Plays much like the original. Well, next is the first game for the Atari 2600, Combat, in 1977 by Joe DeCure, Larry Wagner, and Larry Kaplan. And there's so many different cool variations of this game. It's best 2-player simultaneous play. And next is Phoenix, a port of the arcade original created in 1983 by Mike Feinstein and John Mrazek. And all the stages of this game are here, or basically. Even the mothership. You pull back on the joystick to activate the shield. Pretty decent. I kind of enjoy it. And there I destroyed the mothership. Next is Circus Atari, a port of Circus back in 1977. This is in color, and it's decent. It's created by Mike Lorenzen in 1980, and this is Cosmic Arc here, 1982 by Imagic and Rob Fulop. I like this a lot. This is kind of a remake of Space Sap, but you also get to go down to a planet's surface and collect life forms and bring them back to your ship. Hopefully before an asteroid hits your ship and destroys it, and you get a little warning. I loved this back in the day. I played the hell out of it. A lot of fun. Well, next is Jungle Hunt, a good port of the Taito 1982 original. This was created in 1983 by John Allred and Michael Feinstein. All the levels are here from the arcade original. The original game was called Jungle King, and that incurred the wrath of the guy, the estate of the guy that made Tarzan, because of the Tarzan yell of the character. But next is Super Breakout, created in 1981 by Nick Turner and Carol Shaw, a port of the 1978 original. This has cool sound effects when you hit the bricks, and there's several different cool game variations. Some that give you an extra paddle and have cavities with balls bouncing around inside them. Well, next we're going to look at Atlantis, created in 1982 by Imagic and Dennis Coble. That's kind of like Missile Command. This was pretty popular. You have cities firing at these enemies passing overhead, and they will eventually try to bomb your cities. And next is Star Wars the arcade game. This was based on the 1983 Vector game, and this was released in 1984 by Bob Smith, Neil Mackenzie, and Brad Stewart. And this is fairly faithful to the arcade original. The gameplay is very similar. You have little puff balls that are missiles that the enemy fires at you. Basically, I believe all the stages from the arcade original are in this game. They did not have a game that was very similar at all to the 1983 arcade classic. I'd never played this, but I can see why people liked it. There weren't very many other Star Wars games for the Atari 2600 before this. I know that there was Empire Strikes Back, which I did not think was very good. But next we're going to look at the Smurfs Rescue in Gargamel's Castle by Coleco and Henry G. Wills IV in 1983. This was a great game. I enjoyed this a lot. It's like Pitfall, where you control a Smurf and you try to reach Gargamel's castle. And you can have two modes of jumping, just a normal jump forward or a big jump by jumping up and then pressing jump up again to make a big leap. And there's Smurfette that you've got to rescue. I liked this a lot. This was fun. Well, next we're going to look at Vanguard, created in 1982 by David W. Payne, and it's a port of the 1981 SNK original. It's kind of fun. You have various different waves of enemies that you shoot. You can shoot in 4 directions. And now we're going to look at Crystal Castles, created in 1984 by Peter G. Nide, or is it C? Nide. This is a port of the 1983 Atari Classic. It's decent enough. You really need a trackball for this game. Various different weird things trying to catch you, and you're a bear with abilities to jump and collect gems. And next we're going to take a quick look at Millipede, created in 1984 by Dave Stogust and Jerome Donlacut. But this port of the 1982 Atari game, arcade game, which was a sequel to Centipede. I like Centipede better. This added some new enemies and some new gameplay wrinkles, but I like Centipede better. And next we're going to look at Robot Tank by Activision and Alan Miller in 1983. It's like Battlezone. I'd never played this back in the day, but a lot of people like this. But next we are going to look at the sequel to River Raid, River Raid 2, created in 1988, late in the Atari 2600's life, by Daniel James Kitchen. It plays kind of similarly. I like River Raid 1 a lot better than this one. Got various different gauges of height, speed, etc. And now we're going to look at Frogger. This is a pretty good port of the arcade original. This was created in 1982 by Ed English and Parker Brothers. Good music. Gameplay's very, very similar. Yeah, the original was created by Konami in 1981. Arcade classic, big time. And next we're going to look at Pole Position, created in 1983 by Douglas B. McRae, and this was a port of the Namco 1982 original. Pretty decent for the Atari 2600, I'd say. Next we're going to look at Decathlon, or the Activision Decathlon, created by Activision and David Crane in 1983. This was really rough on the joystick. You had to wiggle the joystick to make your guy move, to make your guy run. Various different events. It's a lot like track and field, and it's pretty fun. But you need to get the right setup so you don't damage your joysticks. But next we're going to have a look at Dragster, created by Activision and David Crane in 1980, and it's kind of based on Atari's arcade classic Drag Race from 1977. Only this is in color. But you try to make your dragster move by shifting the gears and not doing it so fast that it'll blow your engine. Classic, loved by many. And now we're going to take a look at Midnight Magic, a pinball game from 1986 by Glenn Axworthy. But this is only the Atari 2600's second pinball game, I think. I liked the first one better, video pinball. But this has got bumpers and some kind of interesting sound effects. Now we're going to look at Star Raiders, created in 1979 by Doug Neubauer. A lot of people like this. The first-person shooter. And lastly, let's look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, created in 1982 by Howard Scott Warshaw, based on, of course, the 1981 action film. A lot of people like this exploration game. It's got some of the music from the movie. And there's the Ark. Well, now we're going to look at my list of guilty pleasures. I kind of enjoyed these games. First off, Haunted House. It's kind of spooky game. You can light a match so you can see your way. Gotta watch out for these various spiders, bats, ghosts, etc. Yikes. And now this is Tutankhamun by Parker Brothers. I kind of enjoyed this. It's not great, but I kind of liked it. A lot of things similar to the arcade original from 1982. And this is Stampede by Activision. Try to rope up various dogies, various steers, and gotta watch out for those skulls, and you gotta watch out for those Anguses that are facing the wrong way, and you can touch them to make them move out of the way. Don't let 3 get by you. And I enjoyed Pac-Man. A lot of people hated it. I didn't care that it wasn't exactly like the original, or even really that close. Some of the sound effects were annoying, but I otherwise enjoyed it. This was released in 1982, 2 years after the Namco original. I thought it was okay. But next we're going to look at Ice Hockey by Activision. I kind of enjoyed this. You can trip players by hitting them with your stick. It's just 2-on-2 hockey. Kind of a fun game. There, type the score. And this is Venture by Coleco, a port of the 1981 Exidy original. It plays alright. I used to have this one. Collect the treasure and get the hell out of there before the hall monster arrives. His appearance was nightmare fuel. And next is Infiltrate. I kind of enjoyed this. I think this was by Apollo Games. You shoot these little fry guys, and you try to collect this colored column that appears at the top and bottom of the screen. for points, and you take the elevators to get where you want to go. Yeah. And next is Casino. Now, overall, this game wasn't great. You could play blackjack, but the best part about it was the poker solitaire, I think it was called, where you could make a 5x5 grid of cards, and you try to get a suit vertically, horizontally, or diagonally, and you get points tallied up at the end for how well you did. Very, very cool. I played that a lot to see how high a score I could get. And next is Tennis by Activision. I enjoyed this. You don't have to hit the button, you just touch it to knock the ball back to the other player, and if you hit it just right with your racket, the other player cannot return it. Oh, damn it, I used to be a lot better at it. But I kind of enjoyed this. There we go. And this is a Spider Fighter. This was kind of fun. You can fire a lot of shots at once, and you need it because those spiders move quick, and they can pellet you with shots from not very far above you. And next is Commando Raid. I enjoyed this. This was by US Games. Try to destroy these parachuters before they land on your cities and tunnel underneath where you are and bomb you to end your game. And you can also shoot these choppers or these airlifts that drop the parachutists. Kind of fun game, I thought. I had that. And next is Dragonfire, and you play this prince trying to enter this castle and steal riches from under the nose of this dragon that's trying to burn you. And his fireballs also leave the castle and head towards you. Fun game. And this is Enduro by Activision. Not too bad. Just try to keep driving and increase your score, and watch out for the cars that suddenly appear over the horizon and come right at you. Not too bad. I remember this coming out. Didn't play it much back then, but played a little bit more recently. A lot of people like this. Next we're going to look at Spider-Man by Parker Brothers. I kind of enjoyed this one. I had this. You use your webbing to climb up this building and try to get to the top so you can defuse a bomb. And you can swing left or right or go straight up. And there's also bombs. Regular bombs that can blow up. And you'll see the Green Goblin from the comics. And you'll fall if you don't get the right purchase. Next is a Chopper Command. I enjoyed this. This is like Defender. This was by Activision. Save those military jeeps there. Or save as many as you can. There will be enemy choppers and enemy planes. You have rapid fire shooting, which is nice. And also is Hangman. I enjoyed the hell out of this one. You can play by yourself or try to solve words that the computer made for you. Or you can make your own words for a second player to try to guess. Very fun. I enjoyed the hell out of this one. Of course, I tried to make dirty words for the other player to guess. But now we're gonna look at games to avoid. Games that suck for the Atari 2600. And that will be pretty much any porn game. And yeah, there were porn games. There's Custer's Revenge with General George Custer's wang hanging out, going to violate a Native American Indian woman. Just stupid. And Beat 'em and Eat 'em, which is Kaboom, with women trying to ingest a guy's seed. So stupid and horrible. Also to avoid is Karate, a game that I can't figure out the controls, and it doesn't really matter. You try to punch, and you always seem to come up short. Just looks terrible too. Looks like a Beavis dancing or Butthead dancing. Also to avoid is E.T. Some people try to defend this, but why? You always seem to fall into a pit. And you try to collect Reese's Pieces, and even when it doesn't seem like you're falling into a pit, guess what? You fell into a pit. You have to waste energy trying to get out. And these guys in coats try to catch you. God, this game sucks. Also to avoid is Activision's Laser Blast, a rare misfire by Activision. So monotonous, just blast tank after tank. 3 tanks on each screen, just go over and over and over and over and over. You can change the direction of your shot, but it doesn't matter. It's still really boring. And next is I Want My Mommy. What the hell? You create these ladders at certain junctures. You try to reach the top, but nothing seems to happen. This game, wow, it's horrible. See, I can't get to the top level. What the hell do I do now? This game sucks. I had never heard of it back in the day, and thank God. Also, one that sucks is Sneak and Peek. Here you just play hide and seek with another player. Isn't that horrible? Looks like he's got a massive erection. What the hell? What kind of graphics is that? What a terrible idea. Next is 3D Tic-Tac-Toe. And you just play 4 boards of tic-tac-toe at once. Just get 4 pieces of paper and play with a friend or something. Skip this game entirely. It sucks. But next up is Firefighter, and this was by Imagic, I believe, and it was a rare Imagic misfire. And you just put out fires with your water, and you can adjust your ladder on your fire truck. There'll be one resident of the building running around, and when they're at the bottom, I don't know what to do. They come right up to me, I spray water at them, I wait for them to do something, nothing happens. Also terrible is Flag Capture, an early Atari game. It's basically like what was that? Minefield or whatever that game is. That was popular for computers way back in the day. Minesweeper. You just try to find out where the flag is by various clues, and you can collect a bomb and be put back to the start. Really lame and boring. But next is Starship, a really early first-person perspective shooter. Terrible. There'll be some enemies you can shoot. Just boring as hell. And also is Pac Kong, with horrible hit detection, enemy movement, jumping mechanics. It's otherwise like Donkey Kong. But boys, does this game suck. Screw it. And lastly is football, and this does not feel at all like football. You know, if the Atari 2600 wasn't equipped to play an actual game or something that resembles football, they shouldn't have bothered until later on in the life of the system. This sucks. Settle for something on Intellivision or something instead of this. Well, that's my games to avoid. And overall, that is going to be my second to last video on the Atari 2600. Next up will be game number 1 in my 20 from the Atari 2600 series. Well, I hope to see you then. I thank you very much for sticking with me through this series, and I hope to see you for game number 1. Take it easy, everybody, and I'll see you later. Bye bye. Have you played Atari today?